Hi folks, this is the Lab Cook Foodie here, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Japanese milk bread. Let's get to it. So we're going to start the process by examining our ingredients and the amount of each. Now, it's very important to see that everything is relative to the baker percentage. Baker percentage is simply the number divided by the total amount of bread flour times 100. The total bread flour is 3,040 grams. My total liquid is 1,980 grams. The hydration works out to be 65%. This is rather important. I have found if the percentage is lower than 62%, then the bread becomes quite dry and quite hard to manipulate during folding and getting your proofing done. The total expected weight of the final dough is around 6 kilograms. So previously I've added bread flour 240 grams, water 480 grams, and full cream milk 480 grams. So the next part is adding the rest of the material. Mix all that together, then transfer that to the spiral mixer. After such time, weigh out your last bit of bread flour, let that mix, then afterwards you then add the unsalted butter and proceed to keep mixing until you do the window pane test. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're gonna spin this until it looks like a pumpkin. So you can see as it rotates, it folds onto itself and that bar is catching and it stretches. And that's what we want. We also want to see that the dough that was before adhering to the walls of the bowl is actually getting lifted by the action. Butter was then added to make that smoothness in the texture. Alright, so I'm going to stop this for now, and what I do periodically is to take some out and check for the window pane that breaks easily, so that's not yet at that stage. So we're going to keep rotating it until such time when I check the window pane it doesn't break like this. So currently it's still not enough. We're just going to keep going. You can't move it to the proofing stage, otherwise you're going to fail when you put it in the oven. So as you can see, it's getting really shiny and the pumpkin shape is coming along very well. As you can see now the gluten is getting really developed. It's probably ready to go, but I just want to spin it a bit more. Look at how the pumpkin is more visible. How do you know when your dough has collapsed? If you fold it too many times and destroy the gluten structure, what will happen is it will spin with the spiral handle, but then it will simply drop off. You've made it work too hard. And there's nothing you can do afterwards to fix that. Okay, and that will do. Alright, so I'm going to again take a piece out. That's what you want. The idea is you want to get it so thin that light passes through it. Now I'm going to transfer it into the bowl and then put it in the proof box. Okay, so now we've waited, we are up to the proofing stage. Conventional wisdom will tell you that the dough is done when it expands to double its size. Temperature needs to be around 28-32 because that's when the yeast is activated. Once you have proved to yourself using the poke test that the dough is done, take it out of the box, put it onto the bench and start portioning it to get ready for your loaf. I tend to go for 460 grams per ball. I need 2 balls of 460 grams into a loaf tin. With the loaf tin that requires 900 grams, I would then portion it by 400. 3 of that will make 1.2 kilograms of dough. I portion it, put it on the bench top, let it relax until such time I come back and roll it up and put it into loaf tins. Once in the loaf tin, I wait it for it to rise again
until it takes shape above the rim of the loaf tin. Around this time, I have started preheating the oven at around 220 to 130 Celsius. When it gets hot enough, I drop it back down to 190 Celsius. This is the optimal temperature that I'll be using to bake all my dough. I then proceed to put the loaf tin into the oven. I set 35 minutes on the timer. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, you should expect to see oven spring. If you don't see oven spring, that means something is wrong with your dough. If your dough collapses, you tend to see it within the first 5 minutes. After such time, you just keep monitoring how the bread looks in the oven. If it gets too dark, you need to put aluminium foil to cover the top of the bread. When the bread finishes at 35 minutes, you simply take it out of the oven and put it on a wire rack and let it cool.
Okay, so in this part I'm going to show you how to take the bread out from the tin. You don't want the bread to cool down in the tin. What will happen is there are air gaps around the tin. As it cools down, there's going to be condensation all around the inside. You're going to see sogginess. When the bread is soggy, it's not nice. So to avoid that, as soon as you take it out, let it rest on the rack for a little bit, but then proceed to take it out from the tin. So the way you do this, you'll want to essentially drop the tin so it bounces on the rack. You want to do it twice. So just from a height, just let it drop. And what that's supposed to do is to loosen the bread out of the tin, and also prevents it from buckling. I was having issues with my bread buckling once out of the tin, and I read somewhere on the internet that if you essentially tap it twice, it will prevent that. Now I'm going to take it out of the tin. The way I know that the bread is done is to tap the underside of it, and it should make this kind of hollow sound. Alright, that's the sound I'm after. Good. Then I know that this bread is fully cooked.
I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and I'll see you next time.